Hello everyone, let's start with the government audit part first in relation to audit of different entities. Audit of different entities is a big chapter and that is why I'll be covering the revision video in several parts. Okay, so let's go ahead first with the government audit part. Let's see this. Now, what are the duties of CAG, Comptroller Auditor General of India, is to compile and submit the accounts of the union government and the state government, and to ensure that the accounts of the various treasuries, offices, or departments of the government are taken care of. Second is to ensure that the expenditure is legally disbursed. So basically, whatever expenditure is done from the government side, it is legally disbursed. Means the various authorities working in the government are permitting it, and only then the expenditure is done. So conform to the authorities which governs it. Example for road building, suppose a authority is assigned who has to ensure that this highway is made, whether that authority has given the permission or not, sanctioned or not. Next is any contingency fund and public accounts the CNDG should check. And finally, the trading, manufacturing, and P&L and balance sheet of the various government organizations, the CNDG should check. Example, if suppose there's a government company, then the government company will have its own profit and loss account and balance sheet, which the CNDG should check. Next, we have regarding the receipts and expenditure. So here they have said from the consolidated fund of India, when you are giving, let's say, minimum 25 lakhs and 75% of total expenditure to any body or authority. What they mean to say is, whenever any loan or grant is given to any body or authority, and for that body or authority, it is a minimum 25 lakhs we have given, and that accounts for 75% of their total expenditure, 75% of their total expenditure, then you will call this body or authority as substantially financed. You will call this body authority as substantially financed. Okay. Next, receipts. Whenever the money comes into the consolidated fund of India, let's say from the taxation, from tax money. So whether the money has been received as per rules and procedures, whether collection and allocation of the revenue is done properly. And finally, we have to examine the accounts. Examination of accounts is very, very important. Next is regarding grants and loans. Whether any grants and loans, when they are given, whether it is given for a specific purpose, we have to scrutinize the procedures. Sanctioning authority should be satisfied that this loan is important to be given. And finally, right of access after giving a reasonable public notice. So basically, only after proper access is given, only after we are, informing the authorities and informing the other persons. Okay. Next, you have the audit of the government companies. In that, you have two parts. That is your f- subsequent auditor of the government company, and this is your first auditor of the government company. So that appointment of the auditor is done by CAG, as you know very well. This you must have also done in the audit and auditors chapter of company law. Then after that, you have plus he will direct such auditor regarding how the audit should be done, and that auditor should submit a copy of the report to Comptroller Auditor General of India. Finally, you have audit of stores and inventory. That is, stores and inventory basically means if any government department is there having certain inventory, then the inventory should be kept in any office or a department of the union or state. Okay. Now, what are the powers of CAG? The powers of CAG are very simple. Remember the code called SECO. SECO is nothing but the you have to ensure that the accounts are sent and the accounts are there with the Comptroller Auditor General of India. So the accounts are prepared also by them. So at the various departments that they have, then the CAG also has a power to inspect office of accounts. And finally, the CAG has a power to question and also observe the functioning of the departments working under CAG. Okay. Let's go further. That is in relation to this area. Let's keep an eye on the expenditure part now. So you can see here the audit against rules and orders is one part. So this is one. Audit of sanctions is two. Audit against provision of funds is three. Propriety audit is four, and performance audit is five. Okay. Let's see this first. Audit against rules and orders. They have given the first category here. That is power to incur and sanction. Second is the mode of claim presentation in the court of law. Next is contingent funds, and finally the condition of pay for the government employees. Next is in relation to examination to see that. So the examination has to be done to see what first is whether competent authority has given the approval or not, whether a higher authority orders and rules are followed or not, whether constitution or any other law which is there in place, whether that is complied or not, and finally requirements of CAG in respect of accounts and audit is maintained by the company properly or not. Next is the audit of sanctions. Any sanction that is given for any government related work, whether any general or special order of the competent authority is passed, and whether it is passed properly and by the competent authority means the proper authority. Okay. Then audit against provision of funds. They have written here it should not exceed the appropriation made. So whatever provision you have made and whatever money you have transferred, the provision should always be more and the transfer of money can be lesser than that, but never should it happen that you have kept less provision and but the requirement was more. That should not be the case. Okay. Next is a very important part called proprietary audit. Proprietary audit, I've given the principles here, in my opinion, very very important. Mark proprietary audit as star, very very important. Okay. So what are the principles of proprietary audit? First of all, if the SCAG sees that if the payment has been done more than the occasion demands, then that is incorrect. So in proprietary audit, the auditor has to be careful that, to see whether if any particular situation is there. Let's say government is conducting a function. For that function, they can either they can spend get the function done in let's say 2 lakh rupees, or they can also get the function done in 2 crore rupees, but the same function. So if it can be done in 2 lakhs, you have to ensure that public money is saved and you should not spend more than the occasion demands. Second, you should treat the money as if it is your own money. It should not be for any of the government employees' advantage. It should not be for the benefit of any particular person, except in the case of CAPing, which I'll show you in just some time. After that, you have the authority should ensure that wasteful expenditure is not done. Okay, sir, what is this particular person or section of the community? It should not be used for that, and then they're given the exception. Why is that? Because here you can see that there is a point which I'll just show you once again. You can see here public money should not be utilized for the benefit of any particular person or section of the community unless first they have said that if it is enforced by any court of law. Second, if the amount is insignificant, this insignificant is connected, the amount if it is insignificant. Second is if it is a case of any allowances, traveling allowances granted to meet expenditure of a particular type, then in that case you can favor a person if it is part of the regulations. And finally, P is if it is part of any policy or custom. So CIAPing is CIAP, and ing is just written in small just for the code. Okay, that is basically this. Okay, let's go further. Now the next area is the audit of sorry, once again. Next is in relation to performance audit. And performance audit, you will see here that in performance audit you should check the whether the work has been done with efficiency, economy, and effectiveness. Plus, you have to examine the financial and operational performance, whether it is done properly or not. Very, very important. Okay. Let's go further. Let's enter the next area called as audit of receipts. So audit of receipts, the audit provides for. So when your receipts means when the money is coming in, you should first see whether money is coming in as per proper regulation and procedures, whether the money which is coming in, whether the regulation is actually followed in relation to receipt of money. That is called whether the work is actually carried out or not. Next is whether the amount is correctly assessed, how much money should come, whether it has come or not in the government's treasury, that is basically from the tax money. Next, if there is any detection of or taking the money but not giving to the required department, or and if investigation is required, then the investigation also can be looked into. And finally, if the internal procedures are adequate, very very important that the governments are running with a mindset of non-corruption. That is very important, that is internal procedures should be adequate. Next is audit of you have stores and inventory here. Stores and inventory, very very important, it should be properly sanctioned, whether it is as per the contract and whether the quality and the quantity is properly checked. Next is everything should be economical. Economical means the expenditure should be done at reasonable limits, and if it is uneconomical, it will be uneconomical. If it is if it is defective, it means you have to rerun the production and the cost will increase. Or if the product is of inferior quality, again the cost will increase because inferior quality product will not be accepted, so you will be forced to prepare make goods with superior quality. Finally, audit of commercial accounts, they have given here that commercial account basically means three things, that is DSG, departmental enterprises of the government, statutory bodies and corporations of the government, and of course the government companies which are there. These are the three separate departments that they have distinguished this into. Okay. Now this completes our government audit part. There is a small part which I want you all to have a look, and that is in relation to this part here. That is audit of government companies divided into 143.5, 143.6, and 143.7. 143.5 is appointment of auditor by CAG, that is 139 subsequent 5 and 7, that is appointment of subsequent auditor in the case of government companies here, appointment of first auditor of the government companies here. C&DG will give them directions, and finally he will submit the report to CAG. And he'll has to, the CAG can mention, can give directions and action that is required to be taken thereon, and the impact on the accounts that it creates, that the CAG has to look into. Next is 143 subsection number 6, that is CAG's right to. They are given 2 points here, that is conduct supplementary audit. So CAG can conduct supplementary audit under 143.6 and comment upon or supplement such audit report. Okay. Finally, 143.7 is CAG may by an order cause test audit. Test audit basically means that if he wants to check a certain area, the CAG can um, request an auditor or tell an auditor to check that particular area, test audit part. Okay, that completes your government audit area. Okay, now everyone, let's start please here. Now we are doing something called as audit of different entities. Let's go ahead. Is my government audit part is done, so I'll skip that part for the time being, and let's go ahead with the next area, and that was in relation to audit of local bodies. ठीक है? Now local body के audit में you have to remember that there are the spread of the answers you should know properly. ठीक है? तो मैं हमेशा ना ऐसे लिखूंगा यहाँ पे जिसमें तुम लोगों को हेल्प हो यहाँ पे याद करने में. फर्स्ट लोकल बॉडी में जो पहला आंसर आता है दैट इज द डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ ग्रांट्स दैट द लोकल बॉडी कैन रिसीव. सो यहाँ पे द फर्स्ट आंसर विल बी इन रिलेशन टू कैटेगरीज ऑफ ग्रांट्स. तो पहला आ जाएगा यहाँ पे कैटेगरीज ऑफ ग्रांट्स. सो स्टूडेंट्स हु आर डूइंग दिस चैप्टर विद मी फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम ऑलवेज नो द स्प्रेड ऑफ दिस चैप्टर प्रॉब्ली. स्प्रेड का मतलब क्या है कि सर अगर एग्जाम में लोकल बॉडीज का क्वेश्चन आया, लोकल बॉडीज, तो लोकल बॉडीज का क्वेश्चन कौन से प्रकार का आ सकता है. What all questions can come from this local body part? So first is categories of grants. Categories of grants आपको मिलेगा यहाँ पे. You will see this general purpose grant, specific purpose grant, statutory and compensatory grant. ठीक है? General purpose grant means whatever the state government gives a local body on a general basis. Sanitation city में maintain करने के लिए, city में water supply continuous रखने के लिए, government hospital, government school चलाने के लिए. So what that is called general purpose grant. Specific purpose grant is when the local body has incurred a certain expenditure and or some calamity has come and they want some money on urgent basis from the state government. That is called specific purpose grant. Uska ek karan rahega. The grant will have some reason for that. And the third is statutory and compensatory grant. That is basically, suppose the local body was earning some money by way of tax. Let's say octroi duty से वो कुछ पैसा कमा रहे थे. And let's say any vehicle that enters, any truck that enters मुंबई के बॉर्डर से अंदर आ रहा है, ट्रक ने जो भी यहाँ पे टोल का पैसा भर दिया उसमें let's say 70% was going to the local body and 30% was going to the state government. सपोज ऐसे था. अब अगर गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने सीधा ये जो ऑक्ट्रॉय ड्यूटी को बैन ही कर दिया, यहाँ पे बोला कि ऑक्ट्रॉय ड्यूटी चार्ज करेंगे नहीं, तो ऑक्ट्रॉय ड्यूटी की वजह से यहाँ पे ट्रैफिक बढ़ता है इन दैट व्हाट यू कॉल चेक नाका के उधर, टोल नाका के उधर. सो द गवर्नमेंट इफ दे से कि चलो ऑक्ट्रॉय ड्यूटी हम लोग बैन कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे, देन द लोकल बॉडी विल हैव लॉट ऑफ रेवेन्यू हिट. मतलब उनका तो रेवेन्यू यहाँ पे अफेक्ट हो गया. 70% तो उनको ऑक्ट्रॉय ड्यूटी का उनको मिल रहा था यहाँ पे. So the local body can say then that, see, because of our loss in relation to octroi duty, we want the money from somewhere else. मतलब कहीं और से तो हम लोग को पैसा दो यहाँ पे ताकि हम लोग चलाएं यहाँ पे. So please, that is called compensatory grant. So the state government will pay to the local authority for any tax loss that the local body suffers, any revenue loss that local body suffers. उसको compensate करने के लिए जो state government pay करेगी उसको हम बोलते हैं यहाँ पे compensatory grant. Simple है यहाँ पे ये. So that is a 3 categories of grants. So simple question you can see here, 3 categories of grants. Simple है. आगे बढ़े. Now next is sir financial administration of local body. ये simple है कि सर अगर local body का financial administration अगर करना है तो उसमें what all points are very very important to be taken care of. So in this you have to remember the points in a simple manner. Simple ऐसे सोचना है यहाँ पे. कोई भी आप लोकल बॉडी मत पकड़ लिए, यू टेक अ नॉर्मल एनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. उसमें 3 चीज आ गए यहाँ पे कि आपने बजट क्या बनाया, आपने बजट मतलब कितना पैसा साइड में रखने का प्लान किया, दैट इज बजट क्या बनाया आपने. उसके बाद ये बजट मतलब आपने कितना पैसा रखा हुआ है, तो बजट कितना बनाया. फिर बनाया होगा एक्सपेंडिचर क्या चल रहा है, दैट इज कॉल्ड एक्सपेंडिचर कंट्रोल. एंड फाइनली लास्ट पॉइंट यू विल से इज योर अकाउंटिंग सिस्टम. तो आपने कितना पैसा रखा साइड में, दैट इज बजट. उसमें से कितना खर्चा किया, ये रहा खर्चा किया, दैट इज कॉल्ड एक्सपेंडिचर कंट्रोल. उसका हिसाब किताब रखना है, इसको हम बोलते हैं अकाउंटिंग सिस्टम. तो बोलना बजटरी प्रोसीजर, एक्सपेंडिचर कंट्रोल एंड अकाउंटिंग सिस्टम. सिंपल है यहाँ पे ये. तो आपको ये 3 पॉइंट मिल जाएंगे यहाँ पे. एंड वेरी सिंपल टू रीड ऑल्सो, बजटरी प्रोसीजर, एक्सपेंडिचर कंट्रोल एंड अकाउंटिंग सिस्टम. इसमें ना बहुत सारे कीवर्ड्स हैं. सम यू नो हेवी वर्ड्स आर देयर व्हिच आई हैव हाइलाइटेड इन येलो इफ यू कैन सी. एंड एट द टाइम ऑफ टीचिंग इसके मैंने मीनिंग बताए होंगे. एंश्योर दैट दोस वर्ड्स यू आर डूइंग इट प्रॉपर्ली. ठीक है. काफी हेवी वर्ड्स यूज किया मॉड्यूल के अंदर भी. सो एंश्योर दैट दीज मीनिंग यू आर नोटिंग इट डाउन फॉर दीज वर्ड्स. अगर मैंने डायरेक्टली मीनिंग दिया नहीं है तो आप गूगल कर सकते हो, लेकिन these keywords if they appear in your answer it is much better. बढ़े आ गया. ठीक है. Let's go to the next one, that is this. यहाँ पे they have given, एक second, just a second please wait. Okay, let's see this. Here they have given, sir, what is the audit program in relation to a local body. कि अगर local body है तो उसका audit program के अंदर क्या क्या होगा. So first, the local fund audit wing of the state government will do the audit of any municipal corporation normally. So अगर कोई state government है तो उनके state government में डिपार्टमेंट होगा called local fund audit wing. And उनका वो ऑडिट करेंगे यहाँ पे नॉर्मल म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशंस का. बट इफ द म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन इज अ वेरी बिग म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन, जैसे मुंबई का म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन दैट इज बीएमसी, इट हैज ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ मनी एंड रेवेन्यू. You can take Bangalore also for that purpose. You can take Delhi also for that purpose. अभी इसके लिए you have to appoint what external auditors. ऑडिटर जो अपॉइंट होगा उसका मेन काम क्या है यहाँ पे देखने का कि लॉ रूल्स रेगुलेशन के हिसाब से हम एक्सपेंडिचर कर रहे हैं या नहीं कर रहे हैं, जो भी खर्चा हो रहा है उसके हिसाब से हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा है. फॉर दैट द ऑडिटर विल चेक टू थिंग्स, दैट इज वेदर स्कीम्स प्रोग्राम प्रोजेक्ट वॉट एवर वर्क दैट लोकल बॉडी इज डूइंग, वेदर फॉर दैट रेगुलर सैंक्शन इज टेकन. सैंक्शन मतलब परमिशन हैज बीन टेकन फ्रॉम द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट और नॉट, और परमिशन हैज बीन टेकन फ्रॉम द अथॉरिटी, जो भी उनकी अथॉरिटीज है उनसे परमिशन लिया कि नहीं लिया. In the future, if some provision is required to be kept, पैसा अगर साइड में रखने की जरूरत पड़े, then whether that provision is authorized by any competent authority, that is what they should check. ठीक है, आगे. The goal is to reach the expected results कि जो हम लोगों को पर्पस था वो हमारा अचीव होना चाहिए. Let's say a local body is planning to make a bridge. So is the bridge made properly? That is called expected results. See, bridge being made properly is okay. That is one part of it. But जितना अपने बजट में कॉस्ट रखा था वो कॉस्ट के अंदर होना चाहिए. That is called financial control. So the expected results should be achieved keeping the financial control in mind. That is the main part here. Okay. Last में the auditor should report on something which I have called here as flavor. Flavor में क्या आएगा यहाँ पे? Financial statement का presentation. That is 1F. Next आएगा your there should be proper financial control. So adherence to financial control should be there. Legal and administrative requirements should be fulfilled. Value addition हुआ है कि नहीं हुआ, ऑर्डर ये चेक करेगा वैल्यू एडिशन है कि नहीं है. Errors and frauds should not be there, and resources misuse should not be there. Simple है यहाँ पे, इस तरीके से पॉइंट वर्क करेगा. I'll just show this last point to you. Very simple. देखो यहाँ पे वही लिखा हुआ है. Financial statement का presentation, financial control का strengths and weaknesses. Then you will get their legal and administrative requirement, whether it is fulfilled or not. Value is being fully received, and finally errors and fraud should be detected, and finally resources का misuse नहीं होना चाहिए. That is what they have given. Comfortable यहाँ पे? Why this flavor point we are doing it separately? Because if you look at the next question also which is there, that is called objectives of the local body audit. So if you check your notes, you get there a question called objectives of local body audit. उसमें भी same points है, उसमें bullet point में दिया हुआ है लेकिन यही point दिया हुआ है, flavor वाले points ही लिखे हुए हैं. And if you check your notes, we have done the same thing itself. Okay, so ensure that you are doing this properly. That is basically this point. Comfortable till here? Okay, that completes all this area in relation to local body ka audit. Why I'm telling you that this is very very important. See, you should know this part एकदम ही अच्छे से. That is the point which are there. So first we did the categories of grants. See this categories of grants. So that is one question that can be asked. Categories of grants. Second question, that main questions that can be asked in the exam is from a financial administration point of view. Financial administration. Third question can come in relation to audit program. Audit program of local bodies. सही बात है. And the fourth question can come in relation to objectives of local body audit. Objectives of audit. Of audit of local bodies. बोलो clear एकदम यार. ठीक है, it can come in this manner. So you need to understand how to frame it and write it properly, and you have to, for that, know where the question is coming from. So out of these four, only a big question can come. Otherwise, if you read the local bodies normally, which are given in the notes, very very simple area is there. But four main questions are these. You have to do these for properly. A separate question can come in the examination. Everyone, tell me in the chat area. Very very clear. Very very simple. Please tell me yes or no. Very simple. Very easy. Harshita, you're unmuted. हर्षिता you're unmuted. कोई query है? चलो ठीक है. Okay, simple till here. Can we go ahead? Let's move forward. Now after this we did a very nice part called audit in relation to NGO. ठीक है? An audit of NGO का मैंने spread already दिया हुआ है यहाँ पे. That is how we'll do the planning in relation to the NGO. Program क्या रहेगा? So audit करते समय आप क्या क्या चीज का ध्यान रखोगे, and finally it is your receipt of income. ठीक है? ये करते quickly यहाँ पे, and this we have done in the story format. So I'll just quickly mark the points, and with that just give you the gist of the story so that it is easy for you to recollect it. Okay. First of all, you're walking on the village road. ये अपना था village road story या तो फिर village road NGO story. So while planning the audit, the auditor may concentrate on the following. Planning मतलब होगा audit करने के पहले, तो auditor क्या क्या चीज पे focus करेगा? Auditor will focus on the mission and vision of the NGO. Just a second, sorry for that. Auditor will focus on the mission and vision of the NGO. सही बात है यहाँ पे? Auditor will also see whether the relevant statutes in relation to the NGO are being fulfilled or not. Relevant statute was the वो अपना लेफ्ट हैंड साइड वॉल एंड राइट हैंड साइड वॉल इफ यू रिमेंबर. सो रेलेवेंट स्टैट्यूट्स इसमें आएगा अपना यहाँ पे the laws which we learned, that is your Foreign Contribution Regulation Act 1976, Societies Registration Act 1890, then you had Income Tax Act 1961, and finally rules related to the statutes. In your notes you had written it as FISR करके लिखा रहेगा, FISR. So you must be remembering there उधर अपन लिखा हुआ है Foreign Contribution Regulation 1976, Society Registration Act, Income Tax Act, and rules related to the statute. Now after that we had done the next part. Next part was what? Very simple. सर बाद में ना हम वो वॉचमैन से बात करते हैं. वॉचमैन says no because it's a private entity. Remember this? तो वो आएगा, he is talking about the legal form of the organization, and then after that we ask him why we should not enter. So he tells you the entire MOA, AOA rules and regulations. So you ask him, अरे आपको ये सब कैसे याद है? तो वो ही बोलता है कार्तिक सर का स्टूडेंट and all those things, you know, and you both start rapping on one of our songs. Then because he is in favor of you now, because I'm the common what you call link. He's a student of mine, the watchman also. So what happens is I ask, you ask that person, uncle, अभी तो अंदर जाके पूछना तो मुझे NGO कैसे काम करता है. So that uncle allows you to go inside. Inside there is an auntie who is working in the NGO. You ask auntie and ask her information regarding Om Pro Fubu. If you remember this, Om Pro Fubu. याद है? Organization charts, manuals, project and program guidelines, funding agencies, budgetary policies. ठीक है ना? फिर बाद में the auntie tells you, beta, 1 minute. So 1 minute is this minutes of meeting, and she gets you all the documents. जब ये वो document आपको देती है यहाँ पे, तो the auntie is just simply asking you, will you be able to understand all these documents? So she gives you all the reports, by the way. So 1 minute अंदर जाने के बाद she gives you all the reports. Then she asks you, beta, but will you be able to understand all these things? You say, yes, auntie, don't worry. I'm an accounting student. I'm doing CA course, so I'll understand the accounting system, procedures, internal control, internal checks. ये मुझे याद रहेगा, don't worry. After that, you sit in a corner and you see कि कुछ fraud का matter है कि नहीं है, and suddenly you find something which is crossing the materiality level. So that materiality level point you remember, and इसकी वजह से you come and tell auntie, auntie देखो यहाँ पे एक गड़बड़ है. The auntie also looks at that गड़बड़ and says, बेटा क्या fraud ढूंढा आपने? You are an expert. You are an expert. And when auntie says this, तुम लोग ऊपर आ जाते हैं and you start flying. That is called previous audit report. Okay. तो हमने story में अपन ने ऐसे ही एक random story बना दिया था. In the class, I think you will remember the narration properly, and we must have done it in in depth. तो यहाँ पे भी revision कर रहे हैं. That's why I'm telling the story in just a gist manner. Okay. आगे बढ़े. That is basically in relation to planning the audit of an NGO. Now we are doing something called as audit program. So audit program में what are we looking into this part? So here in this we had seen that जोड़ी of two ऐसा मैंने दिखा था. So first remember, let's say corpus fund, उसके साथ आपको याद करना है यहाँ पे earmark funds, corpus fund and earmark fund. Then you have to remember a reserve balance and project or agency balance. Then loans and fixed asset. Then investment inventory. याद है ये? Investment inventory. Investment inventory. Then you had cash bank. Then project and program expenses and establishment expenses. इस तरीके से वर्क करेगा. That is basically in relation to the audit program of an NGO. Last में था receipt of income of the NGO. So we had seen this point here. Again in this, if we had done a story, then we did a story. नहीं तो simple वैसे भी याद किया था अपन ने. If we have done a story, then we must have done the लकी डे स्टोरी. ठीक है, लेकिन अगर स्टोरी फॉर्मेट से मैंने नहीं करवा रहा, जैसे कुछ क्रैश को स्टूडेंट्स को आई मस्ट हैव नॉट डन इन स्टोरी फॉर्मेट टू सेव टाइम, and we must have just remembered in a simple manner. So in that case, just remember, first I got contribution and grants. So this is you going to the terrace and you feeding one pigeon. Then after that, fundraising program, you are feeding many pigeons. After that, you get the membership fees to take membership in the library. लेकिन उधर भी then library is selling magazine में you are able to see magazines, circulars, periodicals, तो वो आ जाएगा. And finally whatever interest or dividend you earn, you will check those, that is interest and dividend. ठीक है, इस तरीके से अपने वर्क किया था इस पर. That is basically this answer in relation to receipt of income. Clear एकदम ये? Okay. That completes your 3 answers in relation to NGO. Everybody please tell me in the chat area, very clear, yes or no? Very comfortable. पढ़ा गया? Okay, can we go ahead now? चलो आ जाओ, जस्ट अ सेकेंड, बढ़िया गया. नाउ लेट्स गो एंड डू हायर परचेज एंड लीजिंग. ये थोड़ा एंड में रहेगा. विल डू दैट फॉर डायग्राम बेस्ड. इसके लिए we'll complete that first and then we'll go ahead with the other areas. Come to hire purchase and leasing. Okay, let's start. Okay, now hire purchase and leasing के केस में what all should the auditor basically check? So hire purchase transaction अगर रहेगा, first they have covered hire purchase. So hire purchase के केस में auditor क्या क्या check करेगा? First they have given that. Okay, तो आराम से मेरे साथ करना है. अब please here first of all the auditor will see whether the hire purchase transaction, hire purchase agreement is in writing or not. तो ये written है या नहीं है. Second, the auditor will check whether the date is mentioned correctly. Third, he will check whether higher purchase price, cash price is mentioned correctly. And fourth, whether details of the goods are mentioned correctly in the hire purchase agreement. Regarding the higher purchase price, the auditor will specifically check the number of installments, the amount of each installment, and the date of the installment. The auditor will check, and whether the payment is received regularly as per the agreement. This is what the auditor will check in relation to any higher purchase transaction. Okay, very simple diagram based answer. Next, I think we had done in this, that is, sir, what are the modalities of a lease transaction? तो lease transaction में क्या क्या modalities होता है? पहला आएगा आपका यहाँ पे जो lessee रहेगा, he will need an asset here to to run his business. For his business, he needs an asset. But because the asset is costly, he cannot afford it by himself. So what he'll do is he'll first select the equipment with its fitness and specifications, मतलब with its model number, details, and all these things. The lessee will then approach the lessor directly or through the lease broking agency So directly or indirectly, and indirectly अगर जा रहा है तो lease broking agency के through जाएगा. Then the lessor and lessee, if they are agreeing to the terms, then they'll enter into a lease agreement where the details of terms of contract will be entered into. Now the lessee will place the order, that is, he will give the full amount to the manufacturer. Let's say the machine costs 1 crore rupees. So lessor will pay here the entire amount and he'll place the order. And the manufacturer will be asked to deliver the equipment at the lessee's site. Lessee का जो भी factory है वहाँ पे deliver करने बोलेंगे. Lessee का यहाँ पे 4 काम है. First is he has to pay the rental regularly. He has to keep the equipment in good condition. Lessee can take the warranties and or after sales service from the manufacturer. And finally, the asset after the period is over will retreat to the lessor, or there will be renewal of the agreement will happen. Okay, that is basically how the lease transaction in terms of finance lease works. उसके जो steps है वो ये है. Okay, that is called modalities of finance lease. Okay, let's go to the next area. Let's see this. ये modalities याद रखना. This is called steps in relation to finance lease. Okay, modality. Okay, let's go further. Let's start. Now we are entering the next part, that is in relation to, sir, in the case of any higher purchase transaction, we have seen what matter is there. Now we are going to see into lease transactions. अगर कोई lease transaction रहेगा, and if you are the auditor of the lessor, तो ये बंदा lessor है जो एक asset भाड़े पे दे रहा है, and this guy is the lessee. This is the person who is taking the asset on rental basis. So for lessor and lessee, what all will you check? But you have to think as if you are the auditor of the lessor. You are the auditor of the lessor. ठीक है ना? तो वो एंगल से सोचना. पहले अपन क्या करेंगे? We will first check the object clause of the lessor, whether the permission is given or not. Second, we'll do the credit analysis of the lessee. Third, we'll check the lease agreement in relation to the lessor lessee equipment location, whether all the details are there or not. What is the return policy in relation to this lease agreement? Sir, regarding the amount, we'll check any deposit that is paid, the date of the transaction, any late charges, and finally, any advance that is paid. So regarding amounts, we'll check all these things. And finally, whether it prohibits any subletting, whether the agreement is prohibiting any transaction in relation to subletting of the asset. Okay, that is given in this part. Next, the lessee who is there, the lessee will fill the lease proposal form. The lessor will send an invoice to the lessee or ensure that the invoices are maintained properly after the invoices are entered into. And finally, when the lessee accepts the offer, basically the deal is done. It means the contract is now valid. Now, after that, see, the main asset, still the ownership is with the lessor. So the lessor will ensure that the insurance policies are there in place. And finally, the last point is that the directors of the lessee should be authorized to do this transaction. Okay. So we have done it in this flow, and I think the students who must have done this in the class with me, इसमें तो आपको पूरा वो याद होगा ही होगा। आई एम वेरी श्योर कि इसमें कुछ इशू नहीं है, ठीक है, बिकॉज द पोजिशनिंग इज वेरी वेरी डिस्टिंक्ट। ओके, एवरीवन वेरी वेरी क्लियर, yes or no? Please tell me in the chat area, comfortable with this? That is in relation to the lease of your audit of lease transactions. Okay, now let's go ahead with the next part, that is in relation to the difference between finance lease and operating lease. तो देखते हैं अभी finance lease operating lease में क्या क्या लिखा हुआ है यहाँ पे। First they have said operating lease and here they are given finance lease। एक सिंपल कोड मैंने दिया था यहाँ पे called code pot। ओके, कोड पॉट खाली चेक करना है। कोड से पहले आएगा यहाँ पे कॉमन एग्जांपल्स, ओ से आ जाएगा ओनरशिप, ए से ए टी से आ जाएगा अकाउंटिंग ट्रीटमेंट, एंड बाद में पॉट से आ जाएगा यहाँ पे परचेज ऑप्शन। देन यू विल हैव ओ से ऑपरेटिंग और रनिंग एक्सपेंसेस, एंड फाइनली टी से 2 पॉइंट आएंगे, टर्म ऑफ द लीज एंड टैक्स बेनिफिट, ठीक है। And then you can go through the content because this was explained in the class and this is similar to AS19 that you see in accounts. Okay, so I don't think there will be any problem from that angle. Okay, very very comfortable, okay? That completes your hire purchase and leasing transaction के entries. So when you are going to do the audit of the cinema hall at that time, what all will you check as an auditor? उसमें पहला लिखा हुआ है कि आप जब भी सिनेमा हॉल में जाओगे वहां पे पहले तो रिस्पॉन्सिबल ऑफिशियल रहेगा एक, वहां पे रिस्पॉन्सिबल ऑफिशियल क्या करेगा, ही विल एंश्योर दैट ही इज कीपिंग द टिकट्स विद हिम, एंड व्हेन यू पे हिम द टिकट का प्राइस ही विल गिव यू द टिकट्स। तो पहले आएगा यहाँ पे द टिकट्स आर इन केप्ट इन कस्टडी विद द रिस्पॉन्सिबल ऑफिशियल। आप देखते हो कि जो भी टिकट्स उसने रखे ना यहाँ पे वो सीरियली नंबर्ड एंड बाउंड इनटू बुक्स है। इन टुडेस टाइम्स आई नो दैट टिकट्स आर नॉट गिविंग लाइक दिस, बट मॉड्यूल में यही पॉइंट दिया था, आपको ये लिखना पड़ेगा। नेक्स्ट दिया यहाँ पे कि बाद में आपको टिकट देते हैं यहाँ पे 4, आप उनको पूछते हो कि सर ये आप जो टिकट दे रहे हो उसके बाजू में जो ये रेड कलर के टिकट्स, ये कौन से टिकट्स हैं यहाँ पे? सो इट टेल्स दैट इट इज एडवांस बुकिंग वाले टिकट्स। Then you count the tickets that you have. Remember that 1, 2, 3, 4. That is number of tickets issued. And finally, you will be given entry only based on the printed tickets. Only printed tickets के basis पे आपको entry मिलेगा यहाँ पे. Okay. Then after that, the cinema hall का जो ticket वाला person रहता है, what he does is he calculate counts all the cash that is there with him, and he matches it with the statements of the tickets sold. तो जो भी cash collected है is agreed with the statement of tickets sold. He checks that. Then he makes the entry in the cash book. So जो भी cash book है उसमें entries are made in the cash book, and as per different shows, so अलग अलग shows में कितने cash मिले अपने को यहाँ पे, that we'll note it down. इसके बाद क्या होगा यहाँ पे, that we'll keep that money in the cash drawer. Then you remember very nicely कि someone knocks on the window, and when you open the door, at that time you have the chief minister of the state. So your chief minister has come there to collect the entertainment tax. Okay? After that, the chief minister goes and somebody else knocks on the door. Who is the distributor? Now remember, if the movie is a hit, then the distributor will give you the invoice and you will make him the payment. So ये आ गया यहाँ पे, vows the payments on account of film hire with the bills of the distributor. He'll give you a bill and you will make him the payment. But if the movie is a flop, then in that case, unadjusted advance balance, ये देखो unadjusted advance balance जो amount रहेगा यहाँ पे, unadjusted balance रहेगा, that he has to pay you, the distributor has to pay you, that is the cinema hall owner. और अगर डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर वो पे नहीं करता और भाग जाता है, then the amount is irrecoverable and you have to create a provision. You have to create means you will check whether the cinema hall owner has created a provision or not. Simple है यहाँ पे ये। इसके बाद next point, that is sir, when you go to was a cinema at that time पहले अपन सैंडविच, समोसा, 2-3 किडनी बेच के पॉपकॉर्न ये सब अपन खरीदेंगे, सही बात है। सो व्हाट विल डू इज विल अर्न द इनकम फ्रॉम रेस्टोरेंट इनकम। सो रेस्टोरेंट इनकम हमें आएगा यहाँ पे। सर इसके बाद क्या होगा, इसके बाद हम जब भी सिनेमा देखने के लिए जाएंगे एट दैट टाइम, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल दिस एडवर्टाइजमेंट विल कम ऑफ द वेरियस प्रोडक्ट्स। याद है विको टर्मरिक का एड आता है? सो इन मुंबई इफ यू गो टू एनी सिनेमा हॉल एंड बिफोर द सिनेमा नॉर्मली दैट अक्षय कुमार का वन एड विल कम and Vico turmeric ad will come. ठीक है ना? Vico turmeric नहीं cosmetic, Vico turmeric Ayurvedic cream, that ad. So you understand that is basically the charges collected from advertisement slides and shots. So even that you will check. Sir, suppose a cinema hall owner himself is doing some ad, then that is advertisement expenditure that is incurred. तो पहले वाला point था ad income और ये वाला point है ad expenses. So ad expense, repair expense, maintenance expense for the cinema hall owner. And after that, in our story, we did that now the movie is going to start. So you lie down on your seat. And when you lie down on your seat, the seat breaks because the furniture is completely depreciated. So machinery and furniture depreciation याद रखना. Machinery मतलब क्या हो जाएगा यहाँ पे? The projector जो cinema hall में लगता है, या तो फिर the sound system that is there. All this will come under the machinery part. AC will come under machinery part. And furniture is basically the seats which are placed. Okay. And last time, because you fell down from the seat, the cinema hall owner will give you some free passes. So the auditor will check कि हमने कितने free passes दिए यहाँ पे, that also will check. For marketing purpose, the owner must have done. जैसे पता है कभी कभी रेडियो में ऐसा आता है कि if you answer 3 questions, then you will get for one cinema you will get 2 tickets free. तो ये वही है वो फ्री पासेस, सिंपल है यहाँ भैया, ठीक है। दैट इज बेसिकली द ऑडिट ऑफ होटल्स। एवरीवन प्लीज टेल मी वेरी वेरी क्लियर इन द माइंड, यस और नो? आई थिंक अंधेरी स्टूडेंट्स का ये थोड़ा पेंडिंग रह गया था दिस आंसर, ठीक है। सो आई होप नाउ इट इज वेरी वेरी क्लियर। ओके, बढ़िया गया। Now let's go ahead with the next part, that is in relation to, let's see this. Now we are doing something called as audit of clubs. Clubs कर लेते हैं यहाँ पे। So audit of clubs में अपन क्या देखते हैं यहाँ पे? Let's do this one by one piece here. पहला आएगा membership fees. The member will pay something called as a membership fee. Then you will have something called as entrance fee. So the member will also pay something called as an entrance fee. In the class I told you membership fee आपको क्लब का member बनने के लिए पे करना पड़ता है। entrance fee member बनने के बाद अगर कोई आपको activity भी करनी है then you have to pay something called as an entrance fee. Okay. Then you will have the other points here. First is the members register. तो members register वाला point यहाँ पे आएगा. Just a second. Okay, so you have the members register. मेंबर रजिस्टर यू विल चेक, उसमें आप देखोगे कि कौन से मेंबर का कितना एडवांस पेमेंट हो गया, कौन से मेंबर का एरियर्स है कुछ। अगर कोई एरियर्स ऐसा है कि जो पेमेंट बहुत टाइम से नहीं होगा और द पेमेंट इज रिकवरेबल सिंस अ लॉन्ग टाइम, देन विल सी वेदर इफ इट इज इरिकवरेबल, and if it is irrecoverable then we'll trace the debits, if it is irrecoverable then we'll create a provision, and we'll also have to separately trace the debits. Trace the debits matlab, suppose if there is a member who is keeping an account on account basis, example he goes to a restaurant every day, has one watermelon juice, has a sandwich, and then he leaves from there, from the club. So club में आता है, जिम करता है, स्विमिंग करता है, फिर एक watermelon juice और एक क्या बोलते हैं सैंडविच खाता है रोज। Then that person we will tell the restaurant owner that एक काम करते हैं, आप ना मेरा हिसाब रखो, at the end of the month I will pay you directly. I'll pay you at one shot. Now that is called tracing the debits, whether the debits that have been created, whether the payment has been received from those debits or not. Okay. नेक्स्ट इज रिगार्डिंग फर्नीचर, स्पोर्ट्स मटेरियल, अदर एसेट्स, उसके परचेस का चेक, एंट्री चेकिंग एंड उसका इन्वेंट्री की जितना परचेस किया था 31 मार्च को कितना भी बचा हुआ, दैट इज कॉल्ड इन्वेंट्री। सिमिलरली फूड, सिगार्स, वाइन, फूड स्टफ, सिगार्स, वाइन्स का अगेन उसका परचेस, उसका प्राइस, वेदर द क्लब इज सेलिंग इट एट a decent price or as per the price stated by the law or not, या अगर सेपरेटली सेल कर रहे हैं तो whether it is sold as per the price that is mentioned in their menu card, simple। नेक्स्ट आएगा फाइनेंशियल पावर ऑफ सेक्रेटरी, विल चेक कि क्लब के सेक्रेटरी के पास क्या क्या पावर है यहाँ पे, एंड वेयर ऑल हैव दे इन्वेस्टेड द मनी, सो विल चेक द इन्वेस्टमेंट्स, एंड फ्रॉम दैट ऑफ कोर्स विल आल्सो चेक द इन्वेस्टमेंट इनकम, दैट इज इन रिलेशन टू द ऑडिट ऑफ क्लब्स, ठीक है। लेट्स गो टू द नेक्स्ट एरिया, दैट इज इन रिलेशन टू, लेट्स डू, इसके जाने के पहले लेट्स डू ऑडिट ऑफ चैरिटेबल इंस्टीट्यूशन करते हैं। A nice chart is there, we'll do it from here, okay। Now let's do this chart. I think the students who must have done this chart इनका already strong रहेगा। We'll do a quick recap so that it is easy for you to understand. First of all, when you do audit of any charitable institution, let's say charitable institution's name is child care, ठीक है ना। child care में क्या आ गया, पहला आएगा यहाँ पे constitution of the charitable institution, then you will have the internal checks, then you will have else a law under which the charitable institution is set up, and whether the money received is deposited in the bank in a regular manner. Next, the charitable institution will receive donations. Whoever gives us donation will give them the receipt from the official receipts, and that official receipts will come from the receipt book. So all the receipt books we should check. If the receipt book is unused, अगर unused रहेगा, just a second. If the receipt book is unused, it should be kept safely under adequate control. And if the receipt book is being used, जैसे जो receipt book है वो 1 to 200 receipts है उसमें, and currently we are on receipt number 137. अभी तक 137 donations have been given, so we are given 137 receipts we have issued. So still that receipt book is running. So for regarding that receipt book, we should ensure that all the counterfoils are kept very safely. That is a copy of the receipt that is with the charitable institution, whether that is kept safely, and we'll keep making the list of donations. जितने लोगों ने पैसा दिया उनका list बनाते जाएंगे। At the end of the year, we'll create a report, and that is nothing but the printed list of donations. जो पैसा आया था donation and the printed list of donation, they should match. And matching means it means that the internal control should be there in place. That is what they have said. Okay. This is in relation to the money collection matter. Now, what other types of income can come to the charitable institution? Income can come in the form of grants. Just a second. Just a second, please wait. Income can come in the form of grants, in the form of investment income, in the form of income tax refund, rental income, legacies. Legacies से पैसा आ सकता है. A person who is on his deathbed, that person can say that okay, after I die, my this much part of the will should go to this charitable institution. नेक्स्ट आ गया यहाँ पे स्पेशल फंक्शन मतलब अगर किसी इंसान ने यहाँ पे चैरिटेबल इंस्टीट्यूशन में लेट्स से इंडिपेंडेंस डे सेलिब्रेट करने के लिए या दिवाली सेलिब्रेट करने के लिए दैट पर्सन हैज गिवन सम लमसम अमाउंट की आप प्लीज बच्चे लोग के लिए प्लीज कंडक्ट फैशन शो और व्हाट यू कॉल डांस प्रोग्राम और सिंगिंग प्रोग्राम, ऐसे कुछ आप एक फन इवेंट कंडक्ट करो यहाँ पे, ठीक है ना, फैंसी ड्रेस कंपटीशन, ठीक है ना, ऐसे कुछ कंडक्ट करो ताकि दैट इज अ स्पेशल फंक्शन फॉर विच दे आर गिवन अस द मनी, एंड इफ दे गिवन अस द मनी देन वी यूज दैट मनी फॉर दैट पर्पस. ओके, so that is basically the income that can come to the charitable institution. Sir, expenditure क्या क्या हो सकता है यहाँ पे? For that we see cash grants. Sir, पहले तो we'll check the cash and bank balance. We'll check the grants given. We'll check the securities in which we have invested. And finally, the last S is, सर ये जो स्पेशल फंक्शन के लिए जो पैसा मिला ना, whether that money is used for that special purpose. So जो पैसा मिला था वो ये है, इनवर्ड ये है, आउटफ्लो ये है. So whether that money is used for that special purpose. Clear एकदम ये, ठीक है? That completes your audit of charitable institutions. Okay, that completes this set of three that we have done. That is basically cinema, club, and charitable trust. Okay. Now, what I'll request you all to do is, now till now we have done the 6 areas. That is local bodies, NGO, hire, purchase, and leasing, cinema, club, charitable trust. Go through this very nicely. Then after that, we'll continue with the next 3. इसको go through करना एकदम अच्छे से. कुछ query है तो पूछो. I'm giving you 5 minutes time here. 5 to 10 minutes time. Go through it and then let me know. कोई query रहेगा तो पूछो. Now everyone, we are doing something in relation to audit of education institutions. That is जिसमें आएगा स्कूल, कॉलेज और यूनिवर्सिटी, ठीक है? इसमें इधर से डायरेक्टली आंसर करते हैं. फर्स्ट, अगर आपको एग्जाम में जनरल वाला पॉइंट आ गया, सो यू हैव टू रिमेंबर एग्जामिनेशन ऑफ ट्रस्ट डीड और रेगुलेशंस और इन रिलेशन टू एनी लेजिस्लेचर मतलब एनी लॉ अंडर विच द एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन इज सेट अप. Second आएगा यहाँ पे the minutes of meeting of the managing committee in relation to whatever resolutions they have passed. So on day-to-day basis, we'll check the minutes of meeting of the managing committee of the school, college or the university. ठीक है? तो जनरल में ये तो पॉइंट्स कवर होंगे यहाँ पे. तो पहला आएगा ट्रस्ट डीड और रेगुलेशन, सेकंड आएगा यहाँ पे मिनट्स ऑफ मीटिंग. दिस यू हैव टू रिमेंबर. अभी स्टूडेंट से जो फीस आएगा ना उसके रिलेटेड यहाँ पे किस तरीके से वर्क होगा, पहले इमेजिन करना. यू टू जस्ट स्टार्ट इमेजिनिंग. Imagine a student fee register being there. उसमें names of the students, the amount of fees that we have charged, and whether that much how much fees has been paid by them. उसका अपने columns बना के ready रखा है. इसके बाद क्या होता है यहाँ पे कि whenever the students come and pay the amount, we will ensure that कि वो amount के सामने we are giving them something called as a receipt or receipt we'll issue, and what copy we have with ourselves is called as counterfoil. तो हम देखेंगे कि whenever the fees are received, whether we are issuing, the auditor will check whether receipts have been issued, whether counterfoils have been properly maintained by the school, college or the university. Okay, जो education institution है वो. The various columns will be made. Columns में we'll write कि कितना हमको पैसा एडवांस में मिल गया, कितना हमें पैसा यहाँ पे, कितना पैसा पेंडिंग है, कितना एरियर्स में है, कितना इरिकवरेबल है जिसके लिए हमें प्रोविजन बनाना पड़ेगा, यहाँ पे राइट ऑफ करना पड़ेगा बाद में. आगे लिखा है यहाँ पे कि सर जो भी एडमिशन फीस आया, वेदर एडमिशन स्लिप्स हैव बीन गिवन टू द स्टूडेंट्स और नॉट. सर नेक्स्ट आएगा अगर कोई ब्रिलियंट स्टूडेंट रहेगा तो देन वेदर एनी फ्री स्टूडेंटशिप और कंसेशंस उसको देंगे हम यहाँ पे. तो वेदर फ्री स्टूडेंटशिप और कंसेशन इज गिवन और नॉट टू सच अ स्टूडेंट, अगर रहेगा तो वेदर रिकॉर्ड इज मेंटेन प्रॉपर्ली. नेक्स्ट आएगा सर वी विल confirm whether any fines or late payment of absence is there or not, or any heavy charge, any late fees ka charges to any student if the student has not paid the fees on time. And finally, D से आएगा यहाँ पे that dues of the hostel. Sir, जो dues of the hostel है, whether that is record from the student or not who is staying in the hostel. तो जो hostel dues है वो student ने अपने को पैसा दिया है या नहीं दिया, that is what we are checking here. Okay. In relation to your other receipts, so जो अदर टाइप का पैसा आ जाएगा फीस के अलावा, उसमें आ जाएगा आपका यहाँ पे सर रेंटल इनकम फ्रॉम लैंडेड प्रॉपर्टी विद द रेंट रोल. सो रेंटल इनकम मिला कि नहीं मिला. सर इनकम फ्रॉम एंडाउमेंट एंड लेगेसीज. एंडाउमेंट इज अगर एक पर्सन यहाँ पे अपने जो इनकम का हिस्सा है अगर स्कूल के साथ शेयर कर रहा है, कॉलेज के साथ शेयर कर रहा है, दैट इज कॉल्ड एंडाउमेंट. एक किसी पर्सन जो डेथ बेड पे जो अपना विल बना रहा है उसमें वो विल पे लिखता है कि इतना परसेंटेज ऑफ माई शेयर विल गो टू द स्कूल और कॉलेज, दैट इज कॉल्ड लेगेसीज. So we'll see whether any income from that is coming or not. Next, any government grant या local authority grant मिल रहा है या नहीं मिल रहा, that is what we are checking in the next point. Okay. After that, we are checking the expenditure part. Expenditure part में पहले check कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे. That is sir provident fund money जो staff के साइड में रखा है कि नहीं रखा है. Any donations that we have received, and for regarding that donation whether the money is used for that specific purpose or not. जैसे किसी ने हमें डोनेशन दे दिया यहाँ पे let's say for building a ground in the school के अंदर एक अच्छा ग्राउंड बनाने के लिए, तो वो जो पैसा है वो ग्राउंड में चला गया है कि नहीं चला गया, that is what we are checking here. So we'll also check in relation to any capital expenditure that is spent. जैसे स्कूल ने यहाँ पे बेंचेस खरीद लिए या तो फिर यहाँ पे we can also say electronic board खरीद लिया स्टूडेंट को टीच करने के लिए in today's times, that will be capital expenditure. Sir, any establishment expenses or heavy expenditure that is there, that is, let's say, um, must have incurred at the beginning, but we are carrying it forward for many years. Whether such expenditure is there or not, that is also what we will check. So regarding expenditure, the auditor will check all these points. Let's see the next matter, that is in relation to assets and liabilities. So पहले तो आप liability side पकड़ लेना. Liability side में हम देखेंगे कि if there is any caution money deposit that the school has with itself, that is what we are checking first. Caution money है कि नहीं है यहाँ पे. Caution money मतलब अगर जो हॉस्टल में रहते हैं यहाँ पे, उनसे अगर हम लोग ईयर के बिगिनिंग में कुछ पैसा पहले से ले लेते हैं, उसको हम बोलते हैं यहाँ पे caution money deposit, ताकि कुछ झगड़ा वगड़ा हो गया एंड कुछ ब्रेकिंग हो गया यहाँ पे, तो we'll recover the money from the caution money deposit. Second, regarding the asset side, we will check whether there are old heavy arrears कि debtor से कुछ पैसा आना बाकी, मतलब स्टूडेंट से कुछ पैसा आना बाकी है कि नहीं बाकी है. That is old heavy arrears कुछ है कि नहीं पास्ट के. नेक्स्ट हम देख रहे हैं सर यहाँ पे कि अगर कोई हमने इन्वेस्टमेंट्स किया हो यहाँ पे, तो वो इन्वेस्टमेंट्स का जो रिटर्न जो बरोबर आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा. सर वी विल आल्सो चेक द receipt and issue, जो receipt and issue of any provision foodstuff clothing equipment, provision foodstuff clothing equipment का कोई भी यहाँ पे receipt and issue हमने किया, उसको record बरोबर maintain किया या नहीं किया. And finally at the end of the year we'll check the inventory in relation to any furniture provision, furniture provision, stationery, clothing equipment. इसका हम यहाँ पे year end में inventory check करेंगे कि inventory बरोबर है या नहीं है. Simple. After that, we'll check the compliances. Compliance में उन्होंने दो चीज कवर किया है यहाँ पे. That is basically your refund of taxes. कि if the school is exempt from tax and if any TDS has been deducted by any third party with the school has dealt with, then the school should get the refund of that taxation amount. ठीक है? So that is your refund of taxes deducted that the school should get if the school is exempt. And finally, any other matter that the school has recorded in its records, whether everything is there in the annual statement or not. So whether all the ledgers and the statements are kept properly, and the annual statement accounts, the auditor will verify. Simple यहाँ पे है. That completes this part. That is in relation to audit of schools here. ठीक है? Now I'll take you back to the main chart where you have the audit of hospitals. So let's do this from here. आ जाओ यहाँ पे. Now, audit of hospitals, what all have they covered? Pehle we'll go with the story and we'll immediately to the point. The story, I think you remember also. So let's do it one by one. Pehle, sir, the tea seller has given us the authorization and sanction. If you remember the story, you'll get it very fast. Authorization and sanction. Now, after that, the four friends, they call their relatives, and from the relatives, they collect donations and legacies. इसके बाद एक पॉइंट आता है यहाँ पे कि हम जाते हैं यहाँ पे, एक फ्रेंड को बुरा लगता है तो एक फ्रेंड क्या करता है, वो जाता है और यहाँ के इन्वेंट्री लेके आता है. इन्वेंट्री मतलब वही जो अपना स्टॉक स्टोर विच आई टोल्ड इन द क्लास एज बैंडेड, डेटॉल और ये सब लेके आता है कि अपना हॉस्पिटल रन कर रहे हैं, तो कुछ इन्वेंट्री तो होना चाहिए अपने पास. Then that one person comes with his hand on his chest and he is not able to breathe properly. At that time, another friend is sitting and remember he has a knife in his hand. So you will understand that he now goes to do the operation with the used knife. तो used knife को अपने यहाँ पे depreciation करके लिया था स्टोरी के अंदर. Okay. Then after that, the patient is very happy that the operation went on properly and the hospital did not even fill the register of patients. So for this, you'll remember the point called register of patients. Next day, वो जो आदमी जो operation करने के लिए आया था, that he turns out to be a politician, so he gives us a grant, and his supporters also give us money. So that is cash collection. जैसे cash collection हमें मिल जाता है यहाँ पे. Then after that, you have the next point, and then the next point is in relation to सर वो पैसे के साथ अभी करना क्या, उसके लिए हम यहाँ पे मैनेजमेंट कमेटी बुलाता है. सो यू विल रिमेंबर हियर, यू विल नॉट रिमेंबर मैनेजमेंट कमेटी बट यू विल रिमेंबर मैनेजमेंट रिप्रेजेंटेशन एंड सर्टिफिकेट. वी कम अप विद द बजट्स, we keep all the internal procedures, that is internal checks in place, and after that we maintain two register. One is called subscription register, one is called investment register. Because we are assuming that the hospital has done some investment, the hospital will also check the income from investments. So like that we have done the points in a flow. Clear एकदम here? ठीक है? That is what we have done in this part. That is in relation to your audit of hospitals. ठीक है? इसके बाद मैं एक और कवर कर रहा हूँ यहाँ पे, that is called audit of hotels. And for audit of hotels, I'll again take you to the module only because in the module they have given in a much better manner. एक second रुकना यहाँ पे. So we are now doing something called as audit of hotels. Just a second. आ जाओ यहाँ पे audit of hotels में. ठीक है? Now, audit of hotels, we had done it in a story method. ठीक है? तो story method से अपन ने किया था, and we'll do this one by one so that it is very very easy for you to remember. ठीक है? तो यहाँ पे पहले अपन ने लिया था ये first point in our story. We took it as room sales and hall bookings को अपन ने point number 1 ले लिया था. Now इसमें I will tell the points and you have to search for it and you have to quickly underline, ठीक है? तो पहले तो आपको ये देखना है कि यहाँ पे कि रूम सेल्स एंड हॉल बुकिंग्स के रिलेटेड whenever you go and speak to the hotel. तो जब भी आप होटल से आके बात करोगे यहाँ पे, so you will first ask them कि रूम का चार्ज कितना है यहाँ पे. So the charge of the room sales will be as per the standard room rate, ठीक है? And standard room rate के हिसाब से ही उन लोग को बिल बनाना चाहिए यहाँ पे. The bill should be made as per the standard room rate. Even the hotel, when you are doing the inquiry at that time, the person at the reception, he also counter inquires with you कि कितने लोग होटल में रहेंगे. Based on that, he will tell you the rate that he is going to charge. So the correct number of guests is very very important. After you have answered, suddenly वहाँ पे दो चीज होता है कि you see that वो reception के पीछे एक आदमी यहाँ पे सोया हुआ है. That person is a night auditor, and night auditor is required to maintain the records कि कोई भी रूम में नाइट में कितने लोग ठहरते हैं होटल में. That record should be very very clear because that is the main source of revenue. आफ्टर दैट यू विल सी द हाउसकीपर्स डेली रिपोर्ट की हाउसकीपर ने यहाँ पे कौन से रूम्स क्लीन किए यहाँ पे उसका डेली रिपोर्ट बनेगा. यू कैन चेक विद दैट आल्सो टू सी की कौन से रूम्स यहाँ पे ऑक्यूपाइड थे. आफ्टर दैट वी हैव डन अ स्मॉल पॉइंट की यहाँ पे यू जस्ट आस्क द होटल ओनर कि हाउ मेनी रूम्स आर ऑक्यूपाइड. ही सेज कि सर वी आर 80% ऑक्यूपाइड और 70% ऑक्यूपाइड. दैट इज ऑक्यूपेंसी इन प्रोग्रेस. एंड आल्सो फ्रॉम वन ऑफ द एरियाज इन द होटल दैट यू कैन हियर म्यूजिक साउंड इन द क्लास. वी हैड टोल्ड यू दिस साउंड टिक 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 करके से आवाज आ रहा है यहाँ पे. तो यू आज हमारे क्या चल रहा है यहाँ पे. सो ही सेड सर एक बर्थडे पार्टी चल रही है यहाँ पे एंड देयर दे हैव बुक दैट हॉल. सो इसके लिए म्यूजिक का थोड़ा साउंड आ रहा है यहाँ पे. ओके, दैट इज इन रिलेशन टू द रूम सेल्स एंड हॉल बुकिंग्स. नाउ a pre-point to this in relation to this was something in relation to something called as your fixed asset. So when you enter the hotel at that time, you saw the big what do you call hotel building. So that is a fixed asset. And when you're walking towards the reception, wo trolley mein you can see the gold and silver cutlery which is going. That is called quasi fixed assets. ठीक है? And after that you see कि यहाँ पे जो होटल है उसमें the pillars which are there उसमें पपड़ी उपड़ी गिर रही है यहाँ पे. So you think in your mind maybe the hotel requires some minor renovation and redecoration. ठीक है? Again that point you will be able to find. Okay, that covers all this part. That is in relation to the fixed asset. Then you go and inquire about the room sales. Okay, so that was the precursor. Fixed asset is the precursor, and then this is the main point of regarding the room sales and hall bookings. Now, after that we go to the next point, and the next point is what, sir, in relation to we one laborer, one person at the hotel, he helps us to carry all our luggage. So when he's taking the luggage to our room, we ask him how much wage he gets and whether he's paid adequately or not. All these things we ask, and then he also tells very confidently, yes, yes, sir. In our hotel, proper controls are maintained by the management, and everything is there proper regarding the casual labor part. Now you ask the same laborer कि ये same जो casual labor जो hotel में काम कर रहा है, you ask that same person कि if I'm very hungry, where should I go and eat? So he suggests you to go to the restaurant, and he shows you the restaurant where you can go and eat. अभी restaurant में जब आप जाते हो, there you see that food and beverage inventory is kept, and lot of movements and transfer of inventory is happening from here to there. Now you are seated at your seat. There you also see that there is a door in which वहाँ पे लिखा है कि no entry यहाँ पे है. So you see that कि वो entry वहाँ पे allowed नहीं है, but you are curious कि वो उसके पीछे क्या बन रहा है यहाँ पे. Now I had told you the setting in the classroom कि ये किस तरीके से है. Where you are seated, no, where you are seated, उसके लेफ्ट हैंड साइड में वहां पे नो एंट्री वाला डोर है, एंड राइट हैंड साइड में देयर इज अ ग्लास, और ग्लास के पीछे यू कैन सी द शेफ इज एक्चुअली कुकिंग द फूड. सो इट्स एन ओपन किचन, यू आर एबल टू सी व्हाट दे आर कुकिंग. ओके, सो नाउ यू आर वंडरिंग अभी करना क्या है, एंड यू वांट टू सी कि वो डोर के पीछे क्या है. तो एट दैट टाइम सडनली अ पर्सन कम्स एंड ही टेक्स योर ऑर्डर. ये पूछता है कि आपको क्या खाना है, तो आप बोलते हो आपका ऑर्डर देते हो यहाँ पे, एंड दैट पर्सन हैज नाउ टेकन योर ऑर्डर. So when that order is basically all the documentation should be there in place. Documentation is accurately processed. After that, what happens is this: the manager, he is roaming with the key like this. So the uh, department manager will have the custody of the key, and he walks past by you. What you do is you suddenly go and open that no entry wala door, and you see, put your head inside, and you see that there is an employee who's doing pilferage. Pilferage मतलब छोटी चोरी कर रहा है यहाँ पे. और अभी वो एम्प्लॉय यहाँ पे छोटी चोरी कर रहा है. व्हाट यू आस्क इज, यू आस्क द एम्प्लॉय कि यू डोंट आस्क, बेसिकली यू आर ऑब्जर्विंग कि एम्प्लॉय क्या कर रहा है, एंड सडनली द होटल मैनेजर आल्सो कम्स, एंड नाउ वी आर एंटरिंग दिस इंटरनल कंट्रोल्स पार्ट. सो रिमेंबर देयर यू सी पिल्फरिंग एज अ प्रॉब्लम, एंड द होटल मैनेजर आल्सो कम्स, एंड द होटल मैनेजर आस्क्स यू कि ये क्या देख रहे हो आप यहाँ पे, एंड ही आल्सो सीज हिज एम्प्लॉय स्टीलिंग समथिंग. तो ही मेक्स अ बिग नॉइज, एंड व्हेन ही मेक्स दैट लाउड नॉइज, व्हाट हैपेंस इज द एम्प्लॉय गेट्स स्कैर्ड, और वो सब ड्रॉप कर देता है यहाँ पे व्हाटएवर ही वाज स्टीलिंग. और वो जो ड्रॉप करता है यहाँ पे, इसको हम बोलेंगे यहाँ पे दैट इज कॉल्ड एज मिनिमाइज द लीकेज. Now what happens is you go and sit at your place and you're eating your food. And when you're eating your food, you see that the food has been prepared and they are working as per the KOT system, where they look at the order, they cook the food and they put that order in a bowl. At the end of the day, they check कि वो bowl में अपन ने क्या क्या orders रखे थे and whether it is matching with the revenue that we have earned. Simple है यहाँ पे. तो इसको हम बोलते हैं KOT, kitchen order ticket system. And finally the last point will be in relation to this कि जो फूड अभी आ गया, फूड हमने खा लिया, यहाँ पे खाने के बाद वी विल पे दी बिल अलोंग विद द टैक्सेस दैट आर देयर. इसके बाद अपना नेक्स्ट पॉइंट आएगा यहाँ पे, दैट इज इन रिलेशन टू ट्रैवल एजेंट एंड शॉप्स. रिमेंबर बहुत सारे होटल्स में यहाँ पे एक ट्रैवल डेस्क होता है जहाँ पे एक ट्रैवल एजेंट वहाँ पे होटल के साथ टाई अप करता है एंड दे आर हैविंग अ ट्रैवल डेस्क का बूथ. जब भी होटल के कोई गेस्ट, if some guests from the hotel are using the travel agent services, in that case the hotel will pay, the travel agent will pay the hotel some kind of commission because he's getting the customers because of the hotel. Okay, the travel agent's business can also be very well spread out. So if from other cities the travel agent is able to convince the guests that please come and stay in this hotel where you're when you're in in this city. Example, in Delhi the travel agent is having an office and he has good connections in Kolkata, so the guests who are traveling from Kolkata, he is able to convince them that whenever you come to Delhi, please stay in this hotel. So in this case you will understand the hotel is getting the guests based on the travel agent's recommendation. In that case the hotel will pay some kind of commission to the travel agent. Simple. So that is basically how it works. That completes at this point in relation to audit of hotels. It's a long story, but you have to then again rerun the story and see whether how the points are connected to it. Simple matter hai ye. Okay? That completes on this matter here. Let's go further and go to the other chapters. I think regarding this chapter, I have taught all the areas. So I think we have made 3 videos now. And in total, revision has 4 videos. First video was in relation to the audit of government, that is government audit is first. Second video will have local bodies, NGO, hire, purchase and leasing. Video number 3 will have cinema, club and charitable trust. And video number 4 will have education institution, hospitals and hotels. So these areas we have covered properly. What I am letting you all to do by yourself is in relation to 2 parts, that is cooperative society, because I have already given a summary chart, and also regarding the audit of partnership firms and LLP. Again, for that summary notes means shortcuts have already been shared with you all. So you can just go through that and it will be easier for you. Okay.